Now we are going into an important topic, which is asset management. So I would like to let you know that we do have a separate product for Asset Explorer, and also within the service this plus we do have it as a module, so where you can go ahead and manage the assets which is present across your organization, and you can right we can manage it right from the procuration, like procuring stage till the depreciation stage. So let's start with how we can inventory the assets. And before that, I would want to let you know that what are the different types of assets that is present in our application. So we have classified assets because that is something important that you should know, because we assign license based on that. So let me show you. So if you view our license, you can see that we do it based on the number of technician logins, and then the number of assets. So you have to ensure that like certain types of assets comes under the license consumption, and certain asset the types will not be consuming license. So we classify them as IT assets and non-IT assets primarily. So IT assets are the one that will consume license. So if you can see, access points, printer, router, switch, laptops, servers, firewalls, IP phones, these are all considered as IT assets. Why? Because these are all the assets that are connected to the network, and these assets can be pinged within the organization, or if yeah, these basically the assets which has the IP address which are connected to the network are considered as IT assets. And the non-IT assets are the assets like a projector, scanner, which are all not connected to the network. We will be not able to ping it, or we will be not able to bring into inventory it based on the IP address. So that is considered as non-IT assets. And also we do have asset components, like anything that is being attached to the attached to the assets, the IT assets. Let's say you can have it as a keyboard, mouse, or external monitor, or even a RAM that can be considered as IT asset. Asset components, because like you might have some certain amount of RAMs or hard disks separately, which are all not connected, but you would like to manage them, like have a count of them, like we have number of this many number of frames, so that can be counted as an asset components, because we are procuring that, right? We are also buying that with money, so we need to manage that, and we have to have records of that. So that can be done from the asset components right from here. So yes. So as I said, IT assets are going to consume license, and IT assets are nothing but the assets that are going to that can be pingable, no? That is pingable within the organization. So let me quickly show you how an IT asset, the non-IT assets can be mapped. So let's take an example. So products are nothing but the model numbers. So I'm going to search for a laptop. Yeah. Yes. So we do have different CIs, and here you can go ahead and map a certain product to a certain product type. Product types are nothing but the CIs. I'll explain a bit more about that when we discuss about the CMDB module. But in a nutshell, product is basically a model, and the product type is the type of the CI, the CIs that is present in the application, which can be mapped with the particular product. So let's say how we can map the IT assets and non-IT assets. So we do have a product type here, and when I create a product type, of course you can have a custom product type as well, and you can edit few of the product types names. So you can go ahead and map it, whether it is IT or it is going to be a component or a consumable, and in the category I can choose whether it is an IT or non-IT asset. So if it is an IT asset, of course it is going to consume license. So since we are all technicians, we should know this, because we'll be inventorying the assets, and we do not want all the assets mapped under IT assets, so that you will be not able to manage the license efficiently. You might want to, you will not know which are if the right assets are being managed or not. So this will be this is something you have to have in your mind when you are going to scan and assets, or when you are going to inventory the asset details. So that is about the types of assets which we have in our application. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and see how we can bring in the assets into the organization. So as I said, as usual, let's start from the basic. So we do have an option to import the asset details using a CSV. For example, if you're having the assets managed in different environment right now, and if you have an option to export reports from that, you can get it as a CSV file, and you can choose a CSV file to import into our application. And once after importing into the application, so there will be certain mandatory fields. So let me show you the fields that needs to be filled. So I'm just going to take this as an example. So here we do have a CA type mapped as laptops and desktops. So basically I'm going to import the laptops and desktops. And so I have to choose the CSV file which has the laptop and desktop information. So as you can see, these are the basic information that will be added into our application while importing the CSV, like the workstation name, the model, the service tag number. So if any laptop or desktop, so this is going to have all this information, and the mandatory fields are the workstation and the model number. So we have to ensure that we have that values in the column. So it is pretty simple. You can go ahead and map that particular column. It is like a match the following, which we do when we were kids. So you have to map the right column to the right field name. So by doing this, those asset details will fall into the place, and it will look like this. Yes. So this is the basic way where we can bring in bulk number of assets into our application and manage them efficiently. And we do have, since it is going to be an IT assets mostly, right? So we do have an option to scan the assets which is present across the network. So we will see what are the different methods we have for the scanning. So before we jump into scanning and bringing into the assets, I would like to talk about the credential library. This is something you have to have in your mind when you were trying to scan the machines that are across the networks, because we'll be having the different flavors of machines across the environment, like VMs, Windows machine, Linux machine, Mac, or even networking devices. The application has to know how to communicate that machine and get the details, right? So that is the reason we have a credential library. So I'm going to click on add new credential and show you what are the different ways we use to get the machine details from the end machines. So starting with, of course, most of the organizations is going to be filled with the Windows machines. So we do use the WMI protocol, and of course we need a account which can go ahead and log into that end machine and then query the information. So basically, the function is like using this particular username and password which you are configuring here. It will reach the end machine, and it will run certain set of queries, and it will get the information, and it will send it back to the server. So this is the overview. We will dive into that, but can system select the auto mapping, like if the CSV file header, monitor, and asset table name? That is a good idea, Akshay, but as of now, we do not have an auto mapping feature. You have to go ahead and do the match the following manually. But that is good. Maybe I'll take that as a feedback. Yeah, so for Akshay had a question like if we can have the field names automap based on the default names, if we had default names, something like that. Yeah, but it cannot be done as of now. It is, but we have to do the match with the respective field manually. So yeah, but I'll take that as a feedback, as I said earlier. So is that clear, Akshay? If once it is mapped, can it be again used? No, actually, like if you're going to import it the second time, whenever you choose the CSV file, the field has to be mapped. like in the certain scenarios, you might have some keywords, like you might have the service tag number as an asset tag number. We do have both like service tag and asset tag that can be mapped into, but it is a good thing. Maybe we can parse through the CSV file and see what are the column names we have. But again, as of now, it is a manual process. Thanks, Akshay. Yeah, so we were talking about the WMA scan. As I said, you will have to provide the admin credentials. So in an organization, widely we do have an admin credentials, which can be used to log into all the machines, which is all the Windows machines that is present across the organization. We will be using that during imaging. Sometimes, like while we are imaging the laptops or desktops, we will log in using the admin account to do the initial configurations, and that can be configured in here. So yeah, that is about the WMA scan, and we do have an option to scan the Linux and the Mac machines using the Telnet and the SSH protocol. So here you can go ahead and configure the username and the password if you are using the username password. If not, if you have protected your Linux environment with the SSH key, simply you can go ahead and provide the private key here, and then it will be able to reach the machine and then get the details, query the details out of it. And as I said, it has the respective port, and this respective port should be in listening state in the end machines. In most of the Linux environments, they would have changed the SSH and Telnet port. So if you have changed it, you can go ahead and configure it right from here. So that is about scanning the Linux and the Mac machines that is present across the organization. And also we do have VMwares that can be scanned. So when it comes to VMware, we have a hierarchy, like a vCenter will be there. Under that, ESXi host will be there, and under that, virtual machine will be present. Is this same for Linux? Uh, Kunal, could you please let me know if you are talking about the Telnet and SSH protocol? If yes, yes, it is same for Linux as well. Telnet and SSH can be used to reach the Linux machine. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So we were talking about the VMware. So VMware basically comes with three layers: a vCenter, ESXi host, and then the VMs, the actual virtual machines. So you cannot go ahead and scan the virtual vCenter directly. Instead, you can have the ESXi, and then you can bring in all the machines that is present under that ESXi host. And of course, it is pretty simple. You can go ahead and configure the username and password of that particular ESXi host. It is going to get the VMware information. My machine will be considered as a virtual host. Yeah. So here I have an example machine which I have scanned using my, it is considered as a virtual host automatically because I have Hyper-V, and you can see the virtual machine that has been configured under here. So if I have one or more machines, it can be fetched automatically. And also you can see that virtual machines that are present in here. So I believe it is old data. Yes. And yeah, that is about the VMware scan. Remote control, yeah, we do have a remote control way, like it is called WebRDP, where it uses the MSTC, like the default MSTC, which we will be using to remote into any other server or any other end machine. So it uses that protocol, the WebRDP. We will be talking a bit more on that. I'll show you how that is done in the real time. And yes, of course, here comes the interesting part. So if you would like to manage the networking devices or the network printers, like which has the SNMP agent installed in it, like access point, switches, routers, that can be scanned. So basically, you should have the SNMP agent enabled in the network devices, so that you can reach the SNMP port with the default port 161. If you have changed it in your environment, you can configure the port right in here. So when it comes to V1 and V2 credentials, we'll be using the community string, of course, yes. And when it comes to the SNMP V3 protocol, we should be having an authorization password, and we should specify the protocol. So SNMP V3 is the pretty latest one, so I believe most of the organization would have, moved to SNMP V3 already. So if you have that, yes, you can go ahead and configure the credential, and then you can fetch the SNMP, I mean the device details, the network device details, and then you can have it in our application. So of course you can go ahead and have the SNMP port right here. If you have changed it in your environment, you can go ahead and configure the appropriate port for that. So yes, we do have an SCCM integration that can be done. So in Linux environment, I mean, sorry, in the Windows environments, mostly they'll be having SCCMs configured to deploy like endpoint machine management, right? SCCM is basically it's the endpoint machine management, and that can be integrated with our application. So Jay will be covering that part later about the SCCM integrations and other integrations as well. We can learn more on that. So this is about the credential library. So basically we are saving the credentials in one particular specific place, and we can use this credential to scan the machines or remote the machines right from here. All right. Yes. So this is the once after saving the credentials, so we'll have to reach the machines and then get the details, right? So let's see how that can be done. Since all the devices, all the IT assets are going to be connected to the network, we do have a way where we can go ahead and specify the network range, or else you can specify the IP address range right from this IP address to this IP address, and you can go ahead and scan all the machines which is present across the organization without having to without worrying about the different flavors of machine that is present in an organization. So let's say you're configuring an IP from the range 10 to 244, for example, or for example. So by doing this, what you can do is like you can go ahead and configure all the credentials which we have saved. So what it is going to do is like whenever it is trying to scan the that particular machine, it will go through all the credentials. So for example, let's assume in the first network IP, we do have a Windows machine. So it will go ahead and see that it is a Windows machine, and it is going to use the Windows credential or the agent that we have here. So we'll talk about the agent in a bit. That is going to be a huge topic, but yeah, we can use agent as well to scan the machines, and or else the configure the credential that we have saved in the credential library, the WMA credentials. So you can go ahead and do that. So it is going to use this particular credentials, and then it is going to log into the machine and get the details. And let's say in the second IP address, it has a Linux machine. So it is not going to simply throw a fail message. It is going to see all the credentials. It is going to check all the credentials. So if it is a Linux machine, it is going to check with this particular credential, and it is going to log into that particular machine using this particular credential, and then it is going to get the details for us, whether it could be telnet or SSH, whatever we have configured right over there, or whatever we have mapped right here. It is going to get the details right from there. So same applies for the network devices as well. So in this particular specific IP range, if the network IP is if this specific IP address is present in that particular machine, like it will go ahead and use that particular credential, and then it will scan the device and send the information. So it will not simply throw the error message when that particular machine, particular flavor of OS is not configured, or the credential is not configured in here. It is going to check through all the credentials, and then it is going to throw an error. So yeah, so also there is one important part here. So you might be having different credentials for different machines. For example, the Linux machine one can have different SSH key than the other one. So what you could do is you can have we can have multiple credentials, and you can configure it here. So it is going to check this credential as well. So mostly we will be using the root password. So I'm just showing this for an example. So it is going to check with this credential. So if this fails, it is going to check with this credentials in the second Linux machine that is present over there. So you do not have to worry about the different flavors of OS that has spread across the organization. So simply configuring the network range and configuring the creds here, so you should do the job. So it will go ahead and scan the machine and it will send the data back to the server. So I'm saying that it is going to scan the machine and send the data. I'll show you how it is done in real time later. Do we have schedule to discover assets, or we need to discuss it explicitly? Yes, we do have a schedule scan. That is a good question. That something I would have said at the end. We can go ahead and scan schedule the scan. So basically it is going to do the scan, and then it is going to bring in the newly added machines into the application. Yes. um, yeah, so that is the beauty about the network scan. So basically it will go ahead and go through all the scan credentials, and then it will see which matches that particular credential, and it will get the data. It will not throw the error directly. And also we do have a Windows domain scan in place, like to scan the machine that are connected to the domain, like if it comes under that particular umbrella, if you have that as a computer account, you can simply go ahead and scan using the agent. So we do have only the scan using agent here, and let's see why we have that here, and let's see how the agent scan stands out of the network scan. So this is how the network scan basically works. Basically a credential that we are going to provide, and it is going to communicate the end machine and get the details. So do you have any questions on that? Is it possible to monitor memory? Yes, Kronal. Yes, it will automatically fetch the information. So as I'm sorry, shown earlier, we do have a hardware information that can be mapped. You see this? So the disk space, the total amount of RAM present in here, and the processor which is present in the application. So it is basically going to use a VBS script, and it is going to get the details. So you can view it right from here. I'll show you how that is done. So yeah, this is pretty much about the network scan. So it is pretty straightforward. Give the IP address, give the cred, it will connect to the machine and get the details. All right. So we do have a recommended way of scanning. Uh, how do we pass the firewall at the client network? So it should be allowed, Nazia. So if you are going to do a scan, so it should be allowed. This party, the end machine should be reachable from the application server. Only then it will be able to make the connectivity and then get the details, because it is going to be like direct protocol like WMI SSH. So what you will do when you would want to remote or SSH Linux machine, you will ensure that there is connectivity, right? You will, before configuring WinSCP, you will find whether there is a connectivity or not. You will ping the machine and check if it is reachable, right? The same applies here. So it is basically connecting from one machine to another machine. Does it answer your question, Azia? So the firewall rule has to be checked that a machine should be reachable from the application server. That is the main concept of IP address. When it comes to the firewall end, I believe they will split it. They will have it in a VLAN, or else they will have like set of rules that can be created to allow the connection between the application server IP, so they can have a source and destination configured. That can be done, Nazia. Yeah, I don't think that is a pretty complex thing, because we can go ahead and create a rule for a set of VLANs or the entire network range that can be done. Are you using mid servers to bypass firewalls, or are we directly connecting with assets? Anil, there is no mid servers. We'll be directly connecting with the end machines. So we do have a concept of distributed asset scan, that is, but it is not something to have a mid server. It is like, yeah, but we can have that is. I think having a probe server will help you. That is a concept of distributed asset scan. So that is one another topic. Since Anil has asked the question, I can explain that to him. So we do have something like distributed asset scan in place. So let's assume our organization is spread across the globe. we can have a probe server on a network, like on that particular location, and we can have connectivity for that probe server to the machines which is present in that site. And we can establish connection between the probe server and the central server. So by doing this, what will happen is like the data will be sent from the probe instead of sending it from each and every machine. But to collect it from the each and every machines, we'll have to set up the probe server and we have to perform the scan there as well. If that helps, you can use it, Anil. But because yeah, I hope that answers Anil's question. And we have completed the topic of network scan. So basically, it is like providing the IP address and the credentials and getting the details directly from the machines. Yes. So that brings us to the topic of the agent scan. That is the most. I would say that it is the most. Recommended way of scanning to the end machines that is present, but there is one limitation that it is only applicable for Windows machines. But we are working on a new agent which can be installed in the Linux and Mac machines as well. But as of now, today we will be discussing about the Asset Explorer agent that can be connected in all the Windows machines. So why do we want the agent here when we have a network scan that simply we can go ahead and connect to the end machines and get the details? If you ask me, I would say I will point it to the bandwidth. So basically, let's assume you have 10,000 machines in a site, and let's assume you have scheduled a scan at specific set of time, like maybe it could be business hours, right? So in that scenario, from where we monitor discovery or probe logs. When you mean logs, do you mean the probe that we will do on the end machine, or you're talking about that we do from the server side? When you mean probe, do you mean the client side or the server side? Could you please explain a bit more about the Anil? Okay. So if my understanding is correct, you would want to know how we can discover the assets. Am I correct? Like how we yeah. So it's basically like it's pretty simple. Like you're going to configure the machines and then it will be scanned in here. It's pretty straightforward. So it will be inventoried, and once after it has been inventoried, you can go ahead and view it. And when you mean the probe logs, so you would want to know what are the data that is being fetched from the client machine. If I'm not wrong, that would be your intention to know. So if you would like to know what are the logs, what are the details that we are going to get, you can view it in the server level. We do have a folder called logs. Sorry. In this, we do have a certain log files that you will have the set of commands that was ran on during the discovery and during the scan, and all will be fetched into application. So let me see if there is something that can be done. I'll show you in the agent logs. So it will be pretty straight, similar to that. Sorry. So here how it works. Um, Anil. So basically, we will have a set of queries running in the application. So when it comes to agent logs, we do have a VBS. Yeah, do I have it open? Yes. So do you see this? So you can see that we are running certain set of queries, right, in the end machine. So this is for the Windows machine. So similar to this, we'll be running for the Linux machines as well. So we are doing it from the configuration database, which is in the machine, the Windows machine. So we'll be querying it, and then you'll be getting the details. So Anil, if please correct me if I'm wrong. So you would want to know the probe logs because you would want to know what are the details will be fetched, right? What are the queries that will be ran, right? I mean, yes. So if that is it, then you can view this file simply. Like when it comes to agent scan, mostly we will be getting these details. Set of queries. Right now, I do not have a Linux machine configured. So if I have a Linux machine configured, I would show you in the backend in the logs. Basically, it will be running each and every queries like commands. If it is a Windows machine, it will run this select queries. If it is Linux machine, it will do ifconfig. So those certain set of commands, and then it will get the details. It is pretty straightforward. Let me download the file for the Linux. So we have the shell script here, right? Yeah. Do you see this? This is how we'll get the details. We'll be querying it in the end machine once after it is been connected through the credential, and we will run the set of commands and we will get the details and put it in XML and post it to the server. As simple as that. This is the process behind it. Yeah. Yeah. So I believe we were discussing about the agent. Yes. So when it comes to the agent, we do have set of configurations that we need to do. And also I told you guys that why agent stands, I mean, I didn't tell you guys why agent stands out of the network scan. So when you imagine in a scenario in an organization, you are scanning a set of like 10,000 machines. And as I said, it is going to construct the XML and it is going to send it as a HTTP post request, right? So in that scenario, obviously it is going to consume that amount of data that needs to transfer the file, right? So when it comes to the network layer, the bandwidth will be high. Imagine all the 10,000 machines are sending a HTTP post request to the server. Of course, the bandwidth is going to be high, and that is where the agent plays an important role. So let's assume if you have installed agent on the end machine, there are different ways to install agent. I'll show you that in a bit. So when we have installed it on the like in the machine, in the end machine, it is simply going to scan the machine like and find the difference in data. So it will have the actual set of uh, information that is present in the application, and it will compare it with the new scan that has been done. So we call it as a delta scan. So when it compares that, it will find only the difference in data, and then it will send it to the server. So I can show you that. Yes. Sorry. So you see the XML document, right? Base agent data. So this is the consolidated data of this particular machine, and it is going to do the delta scan, and then it is fetch only the difference in data that has happened. All right, so it will send only the XML which has a difference in data. It will not send the actual data. It will not send the complete data, the base agent data. It will not send that. It will send only the difference in data. And if you would like to know how the difference in data is done, we do have logs for that as well. You can see that where it is it start. Yeah, so you can see that the scan is being initiated, and it is a base agent scan has been done, and it is going to compare it. Yeah, it is going to pass through the XML, and it will find the agent XML data, and then it will do the delta scan. Going to do take the delta scan. So this is where it will compare the data basically, and it will send the only difference in data to the application. So by doing this, we will see a huge decrease in the bandwidth. Like let's say if network scan is sending a file that has a size of 1 MB, when it comes to agent scan, it will be in KBs because it is sending only difference in data, because the users are not going to install all the like more number of softwares in one day, right? Only in the first scan it will send the actual data, and during the next consecutive scans it is going to send only the difference in data, and that makes the agent to stand out of the network scan. So of course the agent comes with a certain set of rules that needs to be pre-configured, or we can say that the prerequisites. We do use port 9000 to communicate the local machine. So if you have any set of firewall rules that you need to enable, or if you would like to create a rule, you can go ahead and create it from the agent port. No, you have to create it to make the agent port 9000 listening in the end machine. So basically, during the installation itself, the port 9000 will turn to the listening state. But in in few organizations, they might have restrictions like the port need to go to the close wait state. What happens if an asset is removed from the network and it is not discovered in a schedule? Anil, so basically, if asset is uh, asset is present under the network range which you are providing in the network scan, for example, if you are doing a network scan, so if it is present in the range which you are providing, so removed from the network and not discovered in the schedule, it will the scan status will be changed to failed. Let me see if I have a machine which is in failed state. So let's say I had this machine in the network earlier, and I'm seeing that it is uh, not scanned for a while, and you can see the scan state is set to failed. And that is one another way where you can view the a failed list of failed machines, that has been failed during the last scan, and that can be viewed right from here. You can see that all the machines that are failed is being listed over here. So basically the status would change to failed. That is the answer for your question. Can we have customized agent port, and what is the port number on server to which agent communicates? Yes, Sham, you can customize the port number. You can have your own port, and then if you do not want to use the port 9000, you can change it as well. And when it comes to the the server communication, it is going to use the port, the server port, whichever you have it here. So this is nothing but the port which you have used to configure this particular application. So this is server port, this is agent port. Those should be in listening state. Are we clear, Sham? Yeah, great. So that is a quick way which we can use, if you are having any connectivity issues after installing the agent, you can simply ensure that that particular machine is able to telnet from the application server. So we can use a simple telnet command to telnet the port 9000 from the server, so that it will help us to find whether that port is open, or whether the agent we are able to communicate the agent. So I was talking about the port statuses. So as I said, in few environments, if you are in a secure environment, there will be scenarios where the port will be changed to a closed wait state, and it will be not visible on the network. So in that scenarios, you have to ensure that that rules are not present. Basically, it is going to put the port in not listening state, and whenever the server is trying to reach the client, it will not get any acknowledgement, and obviously the scan will fail. So that is one thing which you need to take care of when you're configuring an agent. So yes, these are the configurations that can be done. So if you are doing this configurations right here, and if you're downloading the agent, it is going to have this agent configuration right in here. So all the configurations will be automatically done in the downloaded agent. So I'll show you that in a bit. And let's see what are the different ways to install the agent in the end machines. So we do have Active Directory group policy. So basically, the idea is like having the agent in a common network share, in for which all the machine is accessible from where all the machine can reach that particular network share, and then we can have a GP created, and that GP should be created for the computer accounts. So this is something you might miss while configuring the group policy. It should be configured from the computer account, for the computer account, and you can have a startup GP script run during the startup. So this is an example GP I have created. Let me edit and show you that. So if I go to my Windows settings and scripts, startup properties, yeah, you can see that I have placed the file. So if you click on the show file, it will go ahead and show you the path where you can have the agent configuration. I mean the VBS file, which is responsible for installation of agent. And there is a parameter that needs to be passed. Parameter is nothing but the agent path, which you have it in a common shared path. So this is how the step goes. So you'll have to download the agent and keep it in a shared path, which is accessible to all the machines or the machines to in which you are going to install it. And the second thing is like you'll have to go ahead and configure or add the script. That script can be downloaded right from here. So it is called as install agent.vbs script. We do have it pre-configured. You can download it from here. And once after it has been downloaded, you will have to, as I shown here, the GPMC, you can click on show files and place the agent installation file in here. And the parameters is nothing but the agent path which we have copied earlier, and the version. So the latest version of the agent is 1.0.32. So we have to put that as a parameter. And since we have configured this to execute at the startup, when the machine is being booted, it will go ahead and install the agent. All right. So this is one way where you can go ahead and install the agents, right? Like across all the machines, like using like GPMC, or else you can have go ahead and have, uh, do in few organizations you will be deploying images over the network, like it's nothing but the PSEXE utility. So without even having to put in some the agent or the ISO file separately, you can go ahead and deploy it from the network by having it in a common path. All the configurations will be done. So in that scenario, we do have an option there where you can install few of the applications during the installation itself. That can be done as well. And the instructions can be found right from here. So it is pretty straightforward for whoever is doing a PSEX utility deployment. And yes, so that is how we install the agent in a bulk. Like you cannot simply go ahead and install it in each and every machine. So instead, you'll have to ensure that you are installing it across all the machines in a common way. So GP and the PSXE utility is the ways where we can go ahead and install it. And if you would like to uninstall agent, we do have a script for that as well. You just have to uninstall the agent.vbs script. Of course, you can have a script configured or a GP configured. So during the startup, it is going to simply execute the script, and it is going to remove the agent right from there. And if you are changing any configurations in the agent, let's say you are changing to the protocol HTTPS because of some security reasons. So what you could do is like you can simply go ahead and you will be not able to change it by going into each and every machine and change it, right? So you can simply go ahead and use our agent configuration.vbs, and we can pass the parameters, the changes as the parameters, and it is simply going to change the values on that. And there is one another thing I would like to let you know about that. If you are using any specific ciphers in your organization, so in most secure environments, they'll be having their own ciphers. And if you would like to configure that, you can simply go ahead and configure this right from here. So this ciphers can be configured in the application or the server level itself. Basically, it is to establish the communication between the server and the client. So if we can do it in the registry edit or in any other way in the server itself, that is okay. Or else you can go ahead and do it right from our application by adding the ciphers from the dropdown. Yeah, that is about the agent installation, uninstallation, and the configurations change that needs to be done. So let's see what will happen once the agent has been installed in the application. So I hope everyone can see my screen. So here is the registry edit configuration that has been done. You can see that all the configurations details is visible here, which I have done. And there is one another thing you will have to notice, that it is the agent ID. Agent ID has to be unique. Similar to user accounts, we do have few of the parameters for the unique parameters for the assets as well. I'll explain you that in a bit. But this is something which you need to consider when you're installing the agents. The agent ID should not be identical. It shouldn't be same. So you should be, it should ensure that it is being different or unique across all the machines. So similar to that, we do have one more configuration to scan at startup. Yeah, scan at boot, so that during every boot, if you would like to perform the scan, this value has to be enabled. So this is how the information will sit in the registry edit when we go ahead and execute the. When we install the agent, right? And it will be also configured as services. So I'm saying this because you can take care of it, or you can consider this whenever you are facing any issues during the agent scan. You can see if these values are all correct. You can see whether the agent is running, if the port is listening. So all this can be checked in the first level itself, first level of troubleshooting itself, so that we will not have any trouble while configuring the agent. So that is how the agent will be placed in the registered, the configurations, and this is the path, the default path where the agent will be installed. And you can see that we do have three different folders under that: the bin folder, which is going to have all the script files that is going to be executed in the machine, in the end machine. And log file is will have all the information about the scan that has been done, the difference in data and everything. And the remote control is will be used, like earlier we had the agent based remote control, but we have discontinued that because of certain reasons. And yeah, so this is the part which you need to take care of. I hope I have shown this VB script already. So it is going to basically just to give you a picture about how the scan works. So this AE scan VBS file will be generated whenever the scan is initiated from the server. So it is uh, going to do the scan and then run the query and send the data to the server as in an XML file. Yes. Does anyone have a question?
Uh, like I can say Som here. I think like after you finish this, I would like to know how do we scan in a hybrid environment where we have on-prem and the cloud setup as well.
Uh, when you mean cloud setup, is that like anything like Azure or something like that?
Yes. So I mean, like increasingly now the customers have like the hybrid setup where
Mm.
not all of their infra is on prem, but they have some of the infra on cloud as well. And in the near future, I think that would be the route that they would want majority of their infra to be on the cloud. So how do we manage an hybrid environment?
Yeah, so if you're talking about VMware and something like that, yes, that can be done. But if you're talking about Azure and AWS completely,
Hmm.
that is isolated from the network, because it has different set of authentications, right? In AWS, and we have a certain key that needs to be placed. We cannot simply go ahead and communicate with an IP. So if it is a virtual machine, we can do it using our VMware. But if you would like to scan the machines which is in the cloud extensively, then I believe that wouldn't be an option here. That is something that cannot be done from the application. So it is exclusively for the physical machines which is present in the organization.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yes, and yeah, I was talking about all the queries that will be running in the end machine. So where you can go ahead and run the queries and get the details. So basically, I have shown the XML that will be sent. These XML will be compared, and the details will be posted to the server. And that XML that has been sent through the HTTP post will be stored under this scan.xml. Yeah, this is something you should know that if the communication is all good, and if the scan is being successful, that particular XML which we were talking about will be sent to the machine, the server, and that XML will be queued in here. And based on the first come and first serve priority, that XML will be fetched and converted into the asset details. And I would want to let you know, show you the little post protocol. Yeah. So this is the HTTP post that we have written in our VBS. So this is responsible for sending the XML data that has been scanned. So all you have to, I'm saying this because the scan happens in the local machine with the agent that we have installed, and the post happens separately. So it has every time when you scan, it is not a server that is doing the scan, it is the agent that is doing the scan, and the post is where we need the communication between the server and the client. And yes, also I wanted to show you a real-time example. I have the machine the agent installed in my machine. To go ahead and do a scan using agent, and I'll show you the XML that is being sent across. I'm just going to ensure that use scan using agent is selected. So yes, the scan is happening. Yeah, the scan is done. So if you can see, you see that there are no changes. So which means it has sent the difference in data basically. All right. So this is something which I wanted to let you know that you during the every scan, it will not send the complete data, but the difference in data. Since I haven't installed any software on today, it did not have, it didn't get that XML. So it's all fine. It's good here. And also I wanted to let you know about the one more scan. Yeah. So this is one another scan which we will be doing. So basically it is a script scan. So widely for the machines which is not present in the environment. So we are in the current pandemic situation, right? So we'll be not able to reach the end machines exclusively at every time whenever we need. So in that scenario, if the application is that agent lightweight, what is the footprint of the agent in the server it is installed? Yes. So agent is lightweight. It is not going to have consume much data. I mean, much size. And if you would like to see the agent installed machines right from the server, you can do it right here. And as I said, you will find the information on the registry edit and also in the services. Services also will be configured if you're configuring it on the server, if you're installing it on the Windows server. And if you would like to view all the agent installed machines, you can do it right from the application here. Cool. And yeah, so also we do have like in the latest versions if we are using, can we integrate and fetch data from other monitoring tools like Meraki. um, that is going to be external integration. I'm not going to say no for that because we do have an APIs here, REST APIs, based on which you can go ahead and add the asset information. So if you can configure something like a script or an in the other agent end, so whenever there is a monitoring tools, there is an alert. If you can configure a script, you can go ahead and use our CMDB APIs. But we do have our own monitoring tool, Op Manager. So this is going to do. Yeah, Krunal has got the point. Yes, we do have Op Manager and SDP can be integrated right in here. It is going to be a quick integration. So when it comes to integration between the ManageEngine products, we do have a place where you can go ahead and provide the information and do the integration immediately. But when it comes to the third-party softwares like Meraki or whatever the Anil has specified here, it is simply going to, you'll have to use the APIs to bring in the details in here. It is not mandatory to have proxy, but if you would like to have proxy, you can configure it in from the application. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can configure it in application in our application if you have a proxy, and that proxy will be used widely during the integration in the mail server settings everywhere wherever it is required. Yeah, it is just a check mark which you are going to enable during integration. I hope that answers your question, Kunal and Anil. Means it is possible, right? Yes, it is possible, Anil. As I said, you have to go to extra mile and use our APIs for the integrations. Yes, it is possible. Yeah.
All right, Anil. Yeah, Agassi, let me answer this question.
Yeah.
So we have APIs for the application, and also we have triggers. Meaning, when you have a specific action happen on a ticket, it is possible to call API of that URL to perform something. So for this integration, whatever you mentioned with Meraki and SCPM and Altris, so it is possible to configure our APIs on the other system so that whenever there is an alert, it would be created as a ticket in service desk. So we'll be talking about this in detail over the fourth day session. On the first topic, I would be discussing on the existing integrations as well as the integrations that can be customized as per the specific requirements given. All right, I think that answers the question. Anil? All right, cool. Yeah, Agassi, you can continue now.
Yeah. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for that. So yes, as Jay said, we can do integrations and coming to the part of asset management. So as we were discussing about the unique parameters, the agent ID, I would also like to let you know about the other unique parameters that we consider during the scan. So the first one is the agent ID. The next one is the service tag number. So each and every machine is going to hold a service. I'm sorry, each and every machine is going to hold a service tag number. So this has to be unique across all the machines. So if the service tag is going to be the same, it is going to override the asset information based on that. And also we do consider MAC address as a unique parameter. And also MAC address has to be unique if you're trying to scan the machine. And if it is going to be the same, it is going to override the information based on that. And the next parameter will be the name, the asset name. If the asset name is same, by having different information, it is going to override that particular value on that. And also I wanted to let you know that there is one another scan settings where we can have some leverages on this. For example, in environments like a VMware, you might have same MAC address, like a virtual MAC address for all the machines, or the ESXi host basically. So in that scenario, if you do not want the MAC address identification to be done or override the um, information or override the data of the asset based on the MAC address information, you can leave this unchecked. And if you would like to override it based on the MAC address, this can be enabled. So by doing this, it is going to override the asset information based on the MAC address. And also, if you would like to exclude any specific, machines that has some IP address or a device name, so which you do not want to be scanned into the application, could be the lab machines. So in that scenario, you can go ahead and configure the IP address of that machine or the device name. It is simply going to not scan that machine. It is going to exclude that information from that. So that is about the unique parameters which we have here during the application scan. And also we do have do other scan settings that we need to consider, where uh, like a WMA timeout. So if you're doing a network scan with WMA protocol in the Windows machines, if it is enabled, this WMA, it is going to time out within 2 minutes. That it is the default timeout. And if you do not want that to be timed out, because latency is also a important thing entity that we need to consider, right? So in that scenario, if you do not want the scan to time out within 2 minutes, you can simply uncheck it and save it. So that is going to avoid having the scan failed because of the timeout reasons. All right. We do also fetch the software information from the Linux and the other machines in the Windows machines as well. So if you would like to scan the software information in the Linux machine, you can go ahead and enable this information. So basically, it's just going to get the set of install softwares that is present in the application. And regarding the software asset management, we'll be discussing that part a little bit later. And also, like in few environments, there would be connectivity, but the ping would have disabled from for that particular end machine. So in that scenario, what you can do is, like, because our application does check the connectivity by doing a ping and then the telnet. So you can, if you have enabled this, it will not check with the ping, and so the scan will not fail because of the ping failure. So in the scenarios like when you have disabled a ping in few of the environments, you can make use of this. And we do also have automatic delta scan. By default, it is going to be enabled. Our delta scan is nothing but the scan which I have talked about earlier, where it is going to send the difference in data. So it is good to have this enabled. It is recommended to have this enabled. And add our unknown assets. So in few of the scenarios, we might not know what the unknown assets are. When we reach the machines, we might not have the credentials for that particular IP address configured, and it will be considered as an unknown asset. And if you want that to be added to the application, you can go ahead and have this enable. And also we do have different status for the assets, and it includes disposed and the delete disposed state. So if you would like to dispose the assets after the not scanned asset, the assets that has been removed, for example, you would have you remove the asset from the organization, I mean from the network, and in the few scenarios the scan would be failing since we have removed it. And if you want to remove it from the application automatically, you can make use of this feature. And yes, so this is one important feature, where system over DNS name. So when we query the Windows machines, we will be having different names, right? The sys name and the name which we have here in the properties, and the DNS name. So mostly the application will mostly the application, the system name and the DNS name will be the same. In few scenarios that could be different basically. So in that scenario, if you would want to use the DNS name instead of the system name, you can make use of this feature. So it is going to see the DNS name instead of the system name that we have it here. And yeah, and the schedule based complaint, yeah, this is something, the complaints which will run based on a schedule in the software asset management, which I will be speaking in a bit, like after the break. Maybe we can have the discussion about the software asset management. And yeah, so I want to let you know guys about the different statuses that is involved in the asset. Let me go ahead, because it is also going to consume license. So we do have a few of the default status, like in-store status, in-use status, and wind repair, expired, and disposed. And the thing you should have in mind is, like, except the expired and disposed status, it is going, all other status is going to consume license. So if you ask me what is the difference between these statuses, so if you are procuring a new asset in your organization which is not in use, you have just stored it for the later use, that is going to be the in-store status. And if you have assigned it to a technician, if you have given it to any of the users, that can be added, changed it to the in-use status. And while changing it to the in-use status, you can simply go ahead and map the user, or you can, if it is assigned only to the department, you can do that, or it is going to be a test machine on the site, you can do that as well. So that is about the different status that is involved in our application. And in repair status is, obviously it is pretty straightforward. If you are having that particular set in for repair, or else if you have like if you have loaned any other asset, and if you are going to use that in repair state, I mean, like, you can put that particular asset in repair state. For example, if you would like to image a specific machine, that can be done. Yes, someone has a question.
Um, I guess it's Som here.
Yeah.
I mean, like during the scan, in case if we exceed the number of license we have for assets, how would that be handled? Would the scan fail, or
The scan would fail, and you can find the list of failed machines and the reason right here. So I hope I have shown this earlier. So we do have a place where we can see the list of failed machines. So the scan would fail, yes, and the reason can be found here, the error message.
hmm. And like it will indicate that it is due to
Yes,
the license?
even if you're importing it through CSV, then you will have a list of failed CSVs, and in that you will have the reason. Yes, that can be seen. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, the different statuses we were discussing about. And also I wanted to let you know about this, because we can add different status as well, and I would want to let you know that this particular status is also going to consume license. So any other status, even if you create new one, expired, you accept expired and disposed, it is going to consume license. All right, so I hope that sums up the asset scans, like the network scan and the agent scan, and the different status that can be that we can have for the agent. And also we do have like virtual machines that can be scanned. So you can see that my machine has been considered as VMs. So basically you can go ahead and see all the virtual machine information right in here, where it is going to show me all the virtual machines. And also you can see the virtual machines right in here. So it is like, I believe this is the old virtual machine which I had. Yeah. And it has been failed because it is not with me anymore. So the virtual machine information will be updated in here. That is what I wanted to convey. Yes, and also we do have non-IT assets. So we do have a non-IT asset, and unlike how relationship between the computers and servers are maintained, like asset mapping, where we upstream and downstream relations. Yes, Anil, I'll be talking about the relationships while we are talking about the CMDB module. I hope we can save it for after the break because now it will be pretty confusing. Yeah. Um, Yeah, so I was talking about the virtual machine, I mean, non-IT assets. So even in unlike IT assets, I said that IT assets are something thinkable, so that we had different ways to bring in that particular IT assets. But when it comes to non-IT assets, you will have to bring them using the CSV file. So you can simply go ahead and, as I said earlier, you can choose a CSV file and you can have that particular CSV file in here, and you can map, you are going to do the match the following again. So similar to this, whatever the non-IT asset, you are going to map it, no, like simply you can go ahead and map it and bring it into the application. It is pretty straightforward. Yes, that is about the non-IT assets and asset components. So as I said, it is going to be any asset that components that is attached to a particular IT asset. So that will be considered as the asset component. And also, so next topic which we'll be discussing about is will be the SNMP scan. It is the network scan. So before we are going to the network scan, I mean SNMP scan, I just want to complete the remote controls which we have here, the remote control topics. So earlier we had a different remote control options, and we have removed them, and right now we have only two ways to remote control into the machines, and those are like the web remote. As I have said earlier, it is going to use the MSTSC, the protocol, web remote protocol, which we'll be using for the normal. It is going to use the normal protocol for this. So it is going to simply, it is same as the MSTSC. So our WebRTP, which are remote desktop connection, which we are doing in the Windows machines. I would want to let you know that because if you are using WebRTP, it is going to reach the end machine and it will log off the existing user, whoever is logged into the application. So that is the function of the remote desktop connection, right? So it will not give you the connection parallelly, like where the user of that machine can see it, and also the person who is remoting into that machine can not also see it. So it is like the remote desktop connection which we have in the Windows machine, and we do have certain protocols about the certain considerations that needs to be done when it comes to the RDP. So we do have the server port and the web RDP port as we had in the agent configuration. So here we should ensure that this particular web RDP port is enabled. Like in few of the machines, like you would have disabled the remote connection feature. So you should ensure that the allow remote connection assistance is enabled in the end machine, so that the server would be able to communicate with the end machine and then bring in the connection. So that is the main idea about that. And this particular port should be listening in the server level. So you have to ensure that, and that is one important thing that you need to consider when you are using it in the HTTPS. So if you are changing your application in the HTTPS protocol, of course you need to have a valid third party license, else it is going to give you a gateway error, because when we are converting into HTTPS at first, it is going to work on a self-signed certificate or the predefined certificate that is provided by the application. So you need to convert it into a valid certificate. So if you're running application in the self-signed certificate, it is going to show you an error like this. So of course it is going to show you an error like this because it is self-signed certificate, and this error cannot be bypassed when you are having. How to change this HTTP to HTTPS? That is a good question. So it is pretty simple. We do have a UI way. So if you wonder where I'm going, so I'm going to the ESM directory because I have multiple instances. If you do not have any multiple instances, you can find the security settings under the admin itself. So here you can see it for now. So here you will have the option to change the mode from HTTP to HTTPS. And something which you need to have in mind is like you need to restart the application service when you have changed it. Does that answer your question, Kunal? Great. Yeah. So that is about the WebRTP, and we do have one another way of remote control, which is using that desktop central agent. So basically, this requires the integration. When it comes to desktop central agent, you'll have to connect it with the agent, and like it is also a ManageEngine product. So it is like SCCM, like endpoint management tool. It is going to communicate with the endpoint, and it helps to deploy patches, or it helps to deploy images. Those that can be handled from the desktop central, and they do also have an agent. So yeah. So this is the desktop central agent. So here we will be having the desktop central agent installed in the end machines, and using this agent you can reach the end machine, and then you can remote into that, and this agent can be installed in the Linux and the Mac machine, so they have that extensive support. So we are planning to use this particular desktop central agent in future completely in our service space application that will allow us to install agent in all kind of machines, and then it would make the remote management easier. So even for the remoting and the scanning, if we are going to use that information, so it is like the one scan that can be sent into two machines. So once after this integration, it is going to communicate. It is going to allow you to remote into the machines, the end machines, WebRTP or the desktop central agent. Based on that, you can go ahead and choose it. Of course, I do not have connectivity. This is going to fail. I just want to show you how it is done. So you'll have a pop-up basically, and you can go ahead and remote into the machines. So if I do a WebRTP, then this session will be disconnected. I'm sorry about that. So I'm just going to I'm showing you how it will be done. So it is basically a new web window, a tab that will be open, and that other screen can be controlled right from here. So for WebRTP, of course, for WebRTP, when it comes to WebRTP, you will have to have the credentials configured in a credential library. All right, so that you need to ensure. And there is a question. This is a question time, and I have told you this already. Like, what is the role that needs to be added to have the remote control feature for the technicians? So I have told that I would ask this as a question while discussing about the asset management, and here comes that. Does anyone remember? I have specified the role while talking about the roles in user management, the technicians. Yeah, no problem. You would have forgot it because that is the first time you have heard about it. So it is the AE agent remote control role, which I was saying. So when we choose the roles, we do have a roles for the AE remote control, and we should ensure that this particular role is added to the technician. Only then the remote control feature will be available for the technician to remote into the end machines. And the speed thing about the remote control is like you can do it from the request module itself. So let's say that it is. I'm sorry. And I'm going to add a machine right here. I'm going to add a asset. So you see this? I can go ahead and do the remote control right from here. It gives the same two options, WebRTP and the desktop central, right from the request page itself. So this is going to make the technician's life easier. Yeah, that is how the asset module is tightly integrated with the request module, where you can go ahead and have the assets configured over there, and we can go ahead and with remote into machines right from the request page, or if you prefer, you can go to the assets page and remote into the machines. So the next thing I would like to talk about is the asset loans. So basically, we can go ahead and mark a few of the assets as a loanable asset. So I have one of the assets marked as a loanable asset, and if I like it, I can simply go ahead and loan that particular asset. So loan is nothing but like, let's say if one of the user's computer is defective and he wants a temporary laptop in the meantime. So in that scenario, we can go ahead and make use of, so we can have set of loanable assets. Basically, the old laptops will be considered as a loanable assets if I'm not wrong. So if you would like to manage them, you can simply go ahead and mark that as a loanable asset, and you can go ahead and loan it whenever it is required, and you can view it right from the loan registry here. So you can see that I have loaned an asset to Armugam here, and it has been loaned till 2027, so it's already exceeded. So if I would like to loan the asset, I can simply go ahead and extend the loan, or else if I would like to return it, I can go ahead and return it right from here. And if I would like to email the users who is having this particular loan, we can go ahead and send the email right from here. So this is going to make the life easier, and we can this helps when you're sending assets to and contractors. Like you might have recruited few of the users when you are from the other companies, or you wanted to give them an asset. So in that scenario, you will be not able to manage it. So you can see whether that particular asset. You can see that it has been loaned to this person, and from this time to this time. So you can to keep track of it. You can monitor that right from the loan registry, and if you have any loan expired assets, that will be listed right from here. And also, if you would like to view the loaned assets, this gives the easy access to that. Yeah, that is about the loanable assets. And the next topic which we have is the barcode scan. So barcode is one another way where we can now bring in the asset details into the application. So let's say that we have a barcode configure. We received a new laptop in our organization, and we would want to manage that because it is calculated as an in-store asset, right? So we would want to manage that. So what I can do is I can simply click on this add new assets using vendors barcode. So let me simply go and type in a barcode. So I do not have a barcode scanner, so I'm just typing it in, and in the barcode type I can say that it is a laptops. Yeah, I have laptops and desktop, and the product is going to be Precision. And here comes the sweet part. We can map this particular barcode as a service tag. So when we have enabled this value is going to be added as a new asset by having the service tag as this particular number, the barcode value. So that what will happen is next time when you are actually using that asset, when you are going to connect it to the network, and then during the scan, it will see that it is the same barcode. Same service tag number. So since it is being a unique ID, it is going to override the information. So I'm going to show you how it is a unique ID. So you can see that the asset has been added successfully. And I'm sorry. If I go to the inventory, I can see the asset 123 added. So you see that the service tag value has been added as 123. So next time when you connect the network to when you connect this machine to the network, it is going to see this service tag number, and it will go ahead and override the information instead of adding it as a new asset. That is the one helpful thing which we can do it in the using the barcode scan. And also, if you would like to have a separate barcode for each and every existing asset in your organization, let's say that you're having a unique ID, a value that needs to be pasted on that particular asset. So what you could do is you can simply go ahead and create an barcode values starting from this by having a prefix. So by doing this, you can see that the barcode will be generated, and you can continue to print. You see this? There is a preview here. So this is going to, like you can print it in a sheet, of sheets where you can remove it and paste it in physical machines. So by doing this, you can have a unique ID for your machines to maintain that, or else you can make use of this for the desks as well. Like this machine has to be placed in this particular desk. That can be also done. So basically, you can go ahead and use a USB barcode scanner to print it, or else when it comes to our mobile application, we do have an inbuilt barcode scanner. You can simply scan the barcode and then get the machine details in your mobile as soon as possible. So yeah, that is one of the important feature which I wanted to talk about, the barcode scan. So once after printing the barcode, of course, you can go ahead and paste it in the existing machines. It is going to know that, okay, you can, yeah, if you would like to know that particular machine detail, you can scan it to get the details. That is the main thing about the barcode generation. And we do have an option to add new assets using their own barcode. Like for example, let's say you are not using Asset Explorer or the Services Plus Asset module before, but you have a unique value in your machines in the barcode, and if you like to add assets based on that particular value, you can simply have a custom barcode generated. That would help in this part. And yeah, and also we do have an option where you can go ahead and have a label property. It is nothing but you will go ahead and provide the information about the height and width of the paper, and the label size and everything. It depends on the printer whichever you are using, so you can go ahead and make use of that. And of course, as everything, we do have a history as well. So we do have an option to print barcodes based on the, if you would like to reprint the barcode, something like that, you can make use of the history tab, and then you can get this printed. And that is about the barcode scan. And and then it comes to takes us to the groups. So we do have an asset groups that we can go ahead and um, monitor assets by having a custom group. So let's take a scenario that you're doing migration from a Windows 7 machines to Windows 10 machine, since it is out of support, and you would like to continuously keep track of the Windows 7 machines which is present in the organization. You can go ahead and create a dynamic group. So I'm just going to call it as the Windows 7, and I can create a dynamic group. So here I can show you the criteria, like based on the OS and the workstation details, and also based on the product type. So in our scenario, we would want to provide the OS we want to create a group based on the OS, the dynamic group. So when the OS contains the word 7, I want to bring the assets. So right now, I do not have any assets with the Windows 10. So let's edit the criteria, put it as 10, just to show you a preview. So I have this Windows 10 machines listed here. So similar to that, if I would like to view all the Windows 7 machines, I can go ahead and do this, and I can view all the list of Windows 7 machines, and I can keep track of it, like whether how many machines are still in Windows 7. So that I can go ahead and migrate it. Or else, if you would like to monitor servers, like since that Windows 2008 is not going to be supported anymore, so if you would like to do migration for that, you can go ahead and have a dynamic group created, and you can go ahead and have this listed over there. So basically, you can have a easy view, easy access to the uh, list of machines that you would like to view. That is about it. That is about the asset groups. So these are the topics which I wanted to cover before we leave for the break. We have 7 more minutes for the break. So I would like to know if you have any questions that uh, you have till now, what we have discussed about it, regarding the IT assets, non-IT assets, components, regarding the agent scan, the network scan, regarding the barcode or the groups. So those are the topics which we have covered. And after break, we will be talking about the software asset management and the important topic, the SNMP agent scan. And also I'll be giving quick heads up about the um, distributor asset scan, and also we'll be talking about the CMDB purchase and contracts. So I would like to know If you have any questions, I'm sorry. If you have any questions for me about the topics which we have discussed till now. Anyone? Okay, then I believe I'm pretty clear about what I have said. So even if you have any questions later on, you can go ahead and let me know so that we can have it discussed right over there. And in the remaining 5 minutes, let me talk about the asset additional fields. So we do have an asset additional field that can be added. And Nazir, when it comes to software licenses, we can manage it separately. But as I said, we'll be talking about the break. We can manage license as well, but we do not bring in the license information of that particular software during the scan. So it is like manually you have to bring in the software. So I'll give you an example how the license can be managed and all. So yes, if that is it, yeah, I wanted to talk about the asset additional field. Yeah, so as I said, if you would like to have any other additional fields that you feel like you need to have in your asset information, you can simply go ahead and add it. So I have added two additional fields like building number and the DSAM number, and you can go ahead and see it right here. So in few scenarios, a few of the customers wants to know in which building the asset is present. So in that scenario, you can make use of this feature. You can add the values, and if you would like to add any other attributes, you can do it right from here. Okay, I realized that I didn't show you exactly how the script scan works. So let me go ahead and simply show that. So I have downloaded the script file. If you do not remember where exactly I have got a script from, so you can go to quick actions and standalone audit. So this can be widely used when the application is not reachable in the, application is, the server is, when the server is not able to communicate with the client machine. So we do have scripts for Windows, Linux, Mac, and HP UX So basically, we do have a VBS script and a shell script, and respectively. So I have, since it is a Windows machine, I have the VBS script downloaded and kept it in my desktop. I can simply use the C script command to run. So before I run this, let me tell you why exactly we need this. So we can take an example of the current situation where we are in a pandemic situation, and we were not able to reach the most of the client machines from the server. So we might have difficulties on that. And in few cases, we will have a different DNS for the machine, for the application to be accessible in the internet. We might have done some configurations in the DNS server, so that could be the case as well. So in these scenarios, when you are not able to use the agent, where you are not able to reach the port 9000, so in these scenarios, what you could do is like you can make use of the script. The main purpose of this script is to, you can schedule the scripts in the client machine so that whenever it runs, it is going to send the data to the server in an XML format. So as I said, this is a Windows machine, so I'm running the VBS script. Let me show you how. So basically, it is going through this particular VBS, and it is getting all the data. And you can see that the data has been posted to the server. So here I wanted to show you the, okay, we missed the XML file, but no problem. I have captured this XML file earlier. So in this desktop, so this is how the file will be constructed. So when I go to the sending tab, I can see that the script is being constructed, and it is going to be posted to the posted to the server, and it will be sent in. It will collect the information in the XML format, and it will send the data to the server. So basically, here is what we have. So when it comes to agent, it runs similar kind of script, but it sends a difference in data. But when it comes to the script scan, as you can see, it is going to send the complete data to the server. As I said, it is going to queue up in the scanned XMLs folder, and then it will be fetched into the application one by one. So that is how exactly the script scan works. And as I said, you can do it for all the flavors like Linux, Mac, and Windows machines. So this is going to allow you to scan machines which are not reachable directly to the server. All you have to ensure that is like the DNS name which you have for that particular machine to run in the internet is accessible from the client machine. So if it is accessible from the client machine, then of course you will be able to run the script scan successfully. So the idea is to schedule schedule the script to run in the local machines, so that whenever the schedule runs, it is going to send the data to the server, and we are going to have the information ready for us in the assets module. Yep, that is what I wanted to show in the script scan. So I wanted to show how exactly it needs to be executed, and the XML that is being constructed. As you can see, it has all the information. So our next step would be the SNMP scan. So as I said, while talking about credential library, I said that we can go ahead and scan the SNMP with the network devices which has the SNMP agent using the V1 and V2 and V3 protocols. Yeah. So this is how it works. Let me give you a basic idea about how the SNMP scan works. So basically, the SNMP agent needs to be installed in the end machine. So in few of the organizations, they might have the SNMP agent disabled, or else they might have it configured in the different port. So when it comes to the SNMP credentials, it will be in the port 6161. So you have to ensure that this port is reachable in the device, and the SNMP agent is installed in the machines. So this will be primarily used to scan the network devices like the switches, routers, network printers. So whichever is having the SNMP agent in it can be scanned using our SNMP tool. So there are a few important entities that we need to consider when we are doing the SNMP scan, and the important one is the object ID. We call it as OID. So basically, this object ID is nothing but the unique ID that is given by the manufacturer to each and every entity of that particular asset. So let's say if asset is there, and for that to get that particular asset's system name, there will be a unique object identifier. And to get the other informations like the version or the software's installed or the features which is present. So we will have different versions. I mean, like different object IDs are the unique object IDs for the each and every asset, and it will be provided by the manufacturer. I'm stressing on that because in our application, we do ideally provided with the manufacturer in the form of MIB file. Basically collective. It is like a collective object identifiers that is present in one single file, which has a list of OIDs. So it is basically, it will pass through all the OIDs, and it will try to get the information of that particular device which we are trying to scan. So by default in our application, we do have OIDs for certain machines, like the Cisco, for some Juniper machines we'll have. But if you are using, let's say you are purchasing a new router from Samsung or Apple maybe, so in that scenarios they will have a unique identifier, the unique object identifier in a different file, which should not be present in in our application, right? So in that scenario, what you have to do is you have to go ahead and get the MIB file from the manufacturer. Okay, Mahesh said that he's back. Cool. So yes, as I was saying, the MIB file has to be we have to get the MIB file from the manufacturer, because they are the only one who knows the exact OIDs. And in few vendors like Cisco and all, they will have the MIB file in the backend. I mean, like in the website itself, where you can go ahead and download it. But in few scenarios, you might want to contact the vendor or the manufacturer and get the MIB file, and you'll have to upload that in it. So let's assume we have a MIB file. If you uploaded that, it will be listed under here. And whenever we are trying to scan a device, the SNMP agent, it will go through the MIB, and then it will get the details of that particular device which has the SNMP agent installed. So, and also this can be set to the Windows machines as well. Like SNMP agent can be installed, but it cannot be mapped to the correct entity in our scenario. So here I do have one of the machine scan. It is nothing but my machine. I have enabled SNMP agent on that. So let me show you how it exactly works. So let me get the IP address of my machine. Or else I'll just use the host. That should be better. So I have used the host, and I'm going to specify the object ID. So I would not know all the object IDs present in a MIB file, right? That is going to be a huge database, like a little database. So I'm going to use .1. It is nothing but the parent ID. So every MIB OIDs will start with .1. So it will go through every MIB ID. So this is nothing but a MIB browser. So if you're wondering from where I'm doing this, this is a MIB browser which is inbuilt in our application. So there are certain MIB browsers. We do have one open source for by our ManageEngine itself. So this is the one which is inbuilt in our application. So basically, why a MIB browser will be used? If you ask me why we need to test this in a MIB browser, we can go ahead and do a scan directly, right? So the answer is MIB browser will help us to find if we have that particular object ID, if we can get that entity, if we can get that information from the asset that can be seen right from the MIB browser. So if you would like, if there are network admins, of course they'll be using different MIB browsers to get the details. But when it comes to our application, we do have an inbuilt one. And if you would like to use a different one, you can install it in your server, and then you can go ahead and start, do the MIB browser. Like you can do the scan right from there. So it is basically called as an SNMP walk. So it will go through all the MIB files, and it will see what are the object IDs that can be used here, what are the informations that can be fetched from the application. So of course here I am using the MIB browser that is inbuilt in our application. So I have provided the host information, and I'm keeping the object ID as .1 because I want this to parse through all the OIDs and get all the information. And we do have an option to set credentials. Now we can relate to the credential library. So if we have V1 and V2 credentials, we can configure it directly here. V3, you can do it directly here. If not, if you would like to use specific credentials, you can do it right from here. So I have set a default community string. So it is basically it is called public. That is the default one for the if you enable the agent SNMP agent in a machine. So let me get the details. So as you can see, so this is what I mean by object ID. So this is kind of a set of numbers. No one can remember. I mean, like someone can, but this is not easy to remember by a human mind. So that is why we have them in file, and you can see that for each and every entity, like the host name, and for the list of services, and number of services. For every entity, I'm having a different the OID, the unique ID. So similar to this, when you scan a router or a switch, even for the host name, the version of ISO, for each and every information, it is going to have a unique OID that is provided by the manufacturer, and it is going to get the information right from there. So it is always good to check it from a MIB browser, because of course I said we need to have connectivity to the device through the port 161. So in any scenarios, it could be the password, or it could be the something like password issue or the connectivity issue. So if you try it right from here, it is going to show an error straight away. The direct error will be populated. So if you are going to scan a specific network range, what you could do is you can get a specific IP, and you can go ahead and see if you can get the OIDs or the details from that particular machine using the IP address. That is going to help you to find if you have connectivity in that particular range. Of course, if you are when you are going to do the scan, it is going to show error if it is not, if there is no connectivity. But this is like good thing to check as a prerequisite. If it works here, most probably it will work during the scan as well. So that is how we do the SNMP work or get the details from the end machine. So this is one of the easiest way to avoid issues. So as I said, I have scanned a few machines. So let me go ahead and scan the machine again. I'm going to scan the machine using the SNMP credentials and see what is going to happen. So I'm going to scan a Windows machine. Let me try the new cred I have. It says cannot identify the model of the device. Reason it failed because we do not have it because it's a Windows machine and we do not have the information. And if you go to the SNMP configurations, you can see that device has been scanned and it has been listed under the unknown CISO ID. So we have the file, we have the MIB file, we are able to do the scan, but that particular model is not present in our application. So that this, so what we could do in this scenario is like, so this is where typical scenario of the Samsung and the Apple routers or switches that you're going to use. So in this scenario, you will have to map the product manually, like which product is this, like access point or firewall, or it is going to be a switch or a router. You can go ahead and do that right away, and you can enter the model name and you can choose the manufacturers. We do have a list of manufacturers predefined, and you can if you'd like to add new, you can add a new manufacturer as well. So you can simply go ahead and add a manufacturer name like Cassie. So I have a custom product type which is workstation. I'm going to say the model is Windows Plus. Save it. So I have saved it. If you ask me, it is going to bring the information right in there. I would say no, because we have to do the scan again. Right now, we have added the information to the database, but we haven't added the details. So I'm going to do the scan again. I added the details to the application. If I scan again, the scan is success, and you can see the information that it has been fetched, and you can see that it has been mapped to the workstation CI, which is a custom CI which I have created. And sorry, I go on to IT assets and other workstations. I can see mine, and you can see all the information that has been fetched by that particular scan that has been done during it. So let's do a test here. What we will do is I'm going to delete this particular machine, and I'm going to yeah, I'm going to do the scan again. So this is just to show you that we can go ahead and we do not have to map the credentials. I mean, map the model number each and every time. So just do an object. So it says there is a workstation already present in here. So that is the issue. We are not able to scan here. But yes, all I wanted to let you know is that you do not have to add the model each and every time when you are trying to scan the machine. So the error which I have is it seems to be a database exception. Basically, it is not removed from the database, which I have to check it later. So yeah, but I wanted to let you know that it is basically you do not have to configure the model information of that particular asset each and every time. All right. So yeah, that is how we do SNMP scan, and also we do have an option to do a device identification. Like if you would like to add a model and the CISO ID as a predefined one, you can go ahead and add it right before doing the scan. So that is going to help. And if you would like to do a device inventory, like see what are the list of devices. So let's go here and let's choose switch. So you can see that all the OIDs that is present in our application. So you can see the manufacturer. So if you have added the MIB, you might see your manufacturer as well. So here I'm going to choose Agassi. So here I have the um, list of OIDs that is present for this particular manufacturer. So if I would like to configure OID, I can simply go ahead and configure it, and I can go ahead and save it. So let me tell you when this helps. So let's say you have bought a new Samsung router. You have added everything, the MIB file, the scan was successful, you have the information, but you do not have some specific information in that particular during the scan. Let's say you are not seeing the information of the host name. Okay, host name should be obviously there. So something like the secondary IP address, you have a different OAD for the secondary IP address, and if you would like to map it to some specific attribute, so in that scenario, you can simply go ahead and map it with the field. So that particular field, as you can see, for the DRAM size and all, I do not have the OAD. So in that scenario, I can go ahead and configure the OAD if I know, or if I can find it from the application. I mean, from the manufacturer's list, I can simply go ahead and do that. So that is going to help me to avoid any avoid or configured data that is being missed during the scan. So this is how we primarily do SNMP scan. So all you have to ensure is all the things we need to check is like the um, uh, that port 161 is enabled, and you'll have to ensure that that particular machine is pingable from the server. So that should help you to do the SNMP scan successfully. And if you would like to do the double check, you can go ahead and use the MIB browser to find the device details. And if it is being successful from here, then the scan would be successful to the max. Yeah, that is what I had to talk about the SNMP scan. And let's talk about the next topic, which is the software asset management. So as you can see here, we do have an option. We do have the list of softwares that is present in our applications, which is basically that has been scanned or brought into the application during the scan of each and every machine. So let's say that so it is basically, if you ask me if it what are the information it would bring into the application when we scan the software, I would say it would bring only the software information, the software name, the software version, and it will find whether it has been installed or not. So if you ask me if it will bring the license information, this is the answer for as yes question, that it will not bring the license information. That has to be configured separately. We'll have to see how it can be configured. I mean, we'll have to go ahead and configure the license separately, or purchase the license, and we can associate it with the software or the machine, and then we can manage the license. So we have seen different asset types. So similar to that, when it comes to scan software, we have an option to see like different. Let me So we do have an option where we can have a different status of softwares. So basically, when the software has been scanned, it will be scanned in the unidentified status. Let me open unidentified software. So there is an unidentified software, and if I would like to change it, I'll have to change the software state. If I would like to manage that particular software, it has to be in the managed state. So I can simply go ahead and save it. So if you see that, it says the software is compliant. Why does it say that? Because the installation is 0 and the purchase license is 0. So of course there are no installations done. So no software license has to be associated for that particular installation. So let me add a software installation here. Yeah. So if I have added the installations, basically the machines, you can see that also it would be directed automatically since I have deleted my asset information. I see that I'm configuring it again, manually by adding a software installation. So you can see the list of installations or the list of machines that has this particular software installed in it, and you can see that status has been changed to under license. So previously it was in compliant, and now it has been changed to under license. So in this scenario, what we could do is we have to go to the software license, and I'm going to purchase. So let me see the manufacturer information. The manufacturer is others. Software name is AAM registration notifier. Yeah. So I'm adding a standard license. Manufacturers. others. Okay, and registration notified. So I'm going to have this as a um, individual license. Okay, FPP. All right. So now I'm going to purchase the license. You can see that I have purchased the license, and once I go back in here, I can see that it is under license because the number of license is 2, but the number of installations is 2, and available instance, like the available license is only 1. So let me go ahead and purchase a license again. And if you choose authorized, individual, yes. So if I go to the scan software, if I open the software, okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about. So basically, we do have something called software compliant. So when we were talking about the scan settings, you see the schedule-based software compliance calculation will run based on 30 minutes. So it will check number of softwares present in the application and available license, and it will check the compliance status. That is what it does basically. So what I'm going to do here is like I'm going to choose these machines and allocate a license manually. I'll allocate one by one. So that is one license to which I have allocated. Yeah. So you can see that the compliant status has been changed to, status has been changed to compliant again, and the installations is 2, and the license is also 2. So it is compliant. So these are the different status of the software license, like whether we can check, we can go ahead and check whether it is under licensed or over licensed or the compliant. So let me show you an example for over license. Let's go back to the software licenses again. Another individual license. Sorry. So you see this is over license because I have one available license. So by this, what I'll know, so we are having an unused license. So that might not be, maybe we are purchasing some like 100 license for every year. And you find that there are 20 license that are being available all the time, and of course it is over license status, so that from the next year of purchase you can simply go ahead and purchase only 80 licenses, which is going to be the compliance status for your organization. So to mention the purchase count in the software license, so the software product be moved from any software type excluded shareware to manage. Yes, correct. As I said, only the softwares in the managed status can be, all this can be done only when the software is in the managed state. So basically, when all the software is being scanned, it will be scanned as unidentified. You will have to go ahead and change it to the managed status. Am I clear? Madhuri, I hope that answers your question. When you mean commercial software, could you please give me an example? You mean freeware, something like that? Yeah, could you please give me an example for the commercial software? So any software that is being changed to the managed status, yes, we can go ahead and do that. We can go ahead and associate license. And if it is going to be a freeware software that no license is required, you can simply change the status to freeware. Yeah, basically, yes, if you would like to see all the, like you can go ahead and if you can see, you can go ahead and view all the list of softwares that are in each and every stage. So if you would like to go ahead and have map few softwares. You can go ahead and have change the status, and you can view it under the software tab. Yes, it will be visible. It will be visible, Vision. Even if it is managed, yes, it will be visible under the managed. Yeah, all the managed softwares will be visible under the managed. Great. Yes, and also when we are talking about the asset management, we should also talk about the software suite. Like when it comes to Adobe Suite or Microsoft O365, we will be managing that as a suite, right? So I would also like to let you know that we can go ahead and create a suite of softwares, like list of softwares, and we can create of our Arab shoot of that, and you can choose if one or more softwares are installed in that particular machine. It will be considered that the Adobe Suite is present, and if you're providing license for the suite itself instead of providing it in the instead of providing it for each and every software, then you can manage it right from here. You can purchase the license for them as well. That is about the software suite. And when we come back to the and software summary is going to show you a quick overview of about all the softwares which is present in the application, and you simply can go ahead and choose the manufacturers and see what are softwares that is present by this manufacturer, and also the all sites that can be we can filter it based on the site as well. So this is going to give you a complete overview about the software. This is just a dashboard for the software asset management that you can make use of it. And that takes us to the part like the license agreement is nothing but it's a pretty straightforward concept. Like if you're purchasing a license and you have agreement, and if you like to maintain that, you can simply go ahead and create a license agreement here. So this is going to like based on the manufacturer, and if you have any document for that, you can simply go ahead and attach it. And if it is going to be a maintenance license, and it is going to expire on certain period of time. And if you would like to get notified before the expiry, we can go ahead and configure this as well. If you would like to notify any of the technicians, you can configure it, and you can configure the number of days before which you need to notify for that particular notification to be sent. So that is going to help widely. Like if you like to manage the different set of agreements. And yeah, as I said, that is going it is a pretty straightforward concept. We can stick the active status, whether the license is expired or not, expired or not, and you can choose whether we need to continue the license or renew the license. So that is going to widely help you with that. And yeah, that is pretty much about the software asset management. And after this, we'll be talking about the depreciation. So we do, as I said, we'll be managing assets right from the procurement to the depreciation stage, right? So we do have a configuration for that as well. So let's take for example, so for this asset, I can go ahead and configure the depreciation, and I can choose a specific model for that, like a straight line from this time to this time. So after that, the model value will be this. And if you check the scan settings, you can go ahead and delete or dispose asset. So it is going to change like it is going to show you the status of this particular asset, whether it is a deprecated or not. So that is going to help you with it. And you can change the status to expire or disposed based on the depreciation graph. You might want to change the laptop before it completely goes out of support. So in that scenarios, the application methods will be helpful in those cases. Yeah. And yeah, that is all I wanted to talk about the SNMP configuration and the software asset management. I'd like to know if you have any questions on that. Okay. I'll take that as a no. And in future, if you ever try, like if you try to implement this, you can go ahead and let us know if you have any issues, or else we can have this discussed in the email, as Jay said. That also we can do. Yeah, so that is about the software asset management that I wanted to discuss, and that takes us to our next module, which is CMDB. Most of you guys who has gone through the ITL training would be aware of this particular module, configuration management database. So it is the place. Okay, before I explain about this CMDB, does anyone have an idea about? Because since guys have knowledge about the ITIL process, any idea what a CMDB is and what it does? Okay, not an issue. I'll explain about that. So the CMDB, yeah, someone has an answer. A repository of configuration items. Yes, Sham, that is pretty much correct. So as the name says, it is the configuration management database. It will hold all the entities that is present in our application. So let be it computer, be it user, be it department, all the information is going to be monitored from one this particular place. So what is the advantage of having this in one particular place? What is the use of having this in one particular place? Because we have it in each and every module, right? What is the use of having in this? And the answer is, we can build relationships between those entities, between those objects, and we call that entities in the configuration management database as configuration items. So if you go under administration tab, you can see that configuration item types. So this is going to be the configuration items. Yeah, this is going to list all the entities that is present in our application. And if you ask me if I can go ahead and add a new configuration item, yes. And you can see that I have added a new configuration item under named building. Under that I have floor one, room one. And similar to this, you can build your own configuration item, and that is going to reflect over here. So if you ask me what is the use of adding this, so since I said that I can build relationships, I can build relationships like uh, I'm sorry. I can build ships like I'll know where exactly that particular machine is, where exactly that machine is placed, which server it is connected to, if it is a virtual machine, which is the host of that particular machine. So before I do that, I would want to scan my machine again since it is deleted. I'm sorry. Let me do the scan quickly so that I can build relationships. Okay, the machine has the details has been posted. Yeah, I have it right here. I have the virtual machine info, everything. Okay, cool. So yes, so the main theme about if you ask me what is CMDB, I would say it is all about building relationships between the CIs. So now that we have seen different CI types, that now that we know that we can add new CI and we can have child CI of that, I'm going to show you, talk to you about the relationship types. So to build relationships, we need to have relationship types, right? So whether this building like this computer is hosted on this particular switch, this runs on this web application runs on this particular server. So all the relationship types can be you can view it under the relationship types from admin. And if you would like to have any new relationship type, you can go ahead and have it as well, like let me say that created on. Okay, let me tackle broken fix. I just wanted exact opposite for that, so I can build this relationship. So this is like a funny relationship that I have built. So I can map the user like this user has broken this particular laptop. So I can go ahead and map it. So in the future, if you would like to view that how this laptop is broken, you can go ahead and see, okay, oh, this relationship is there. So let's build a relationship for that. So I have to find a CA. Okay, we call it as a business views. If, yeah, I'm going to get my machine. Else, what I'll do is I'll get the user and then I'll map it. So guys, awareness is here. So I'm going to choose the relationship type as let's see, I'll go to laptops and desktops. Workstations. Okay, let me take this particular laptop. Okay, I see. This is my VM. Where is my CI? Broken. Yeah. So if I add relationship like this, so in the future I will come to know that okay, this user has broken this particular laptop. So this is just a funny scenario that I have done here, but still, so I can say similarly I can build a relationship like this, which can be used in the audit purpose. Like isn't it a good view to view? I mean, see what exactly has happened in the backend. So if you see this, I can see that this particular machine runs Microsoft Windows 10 on that, and it hosts that virtualizes the particular virtual machine, and it runs this particular software. So all these informations can be viewed right from here. So basically, like it helps in real-time cases like let's say if I have created a request. If you would like to see a more real-time case like how it would work, let me show you that. All assets. Sorry. So let me close this business view and go to CMDB and create a new business view. I can see that there is a little one on the top. So what's that? So if you see this, this is the request that I have created, so that I will know there is a request created on that particular asset. So let's say that a request is being created saying by having a server in by marking the server in the assets field, so that what will happen is we know that we should know that what are the services hosted in that server, what could be affected if that server has any issues. Let's say you are creating a request for data, I mean like the storage issues. So you are having a storage server and it is having issues like like it is running out of storage, and some of the user is trying to report it to you. So what he will do is he will choose the particular marked asset as this asset, and he will say that it is running out of storage. So it might take some time to fix the issues. If it is a VM, you can simply go ahead and extend the storage. Imagine if it is a real-time, I mean, like a real storage server that is placed over there. You might want to install a new hard disk, right? So in that scenario, what you could do is like you can view it right from here. Like if you can temporarily, if there are any you can see if there are any services running on this particular server, I mean the server, and if there is any service running, and you can see will it impact the users who belong to the organization. Is it a minor change to add a hard drive? So all this information can be viewed, like it helps to avoid time consumption, and it could the building relationship could help you to find the precise information about that particular asset which is having this issue. That is how this business views can be helpful in the real time. And as I said, yes, you can go ahead and have a new CIs added, and also you can have a parent CA, and there is one another way where you can import CIs using CSV, and also you can import relationships using XLS. So import CI is like so all the entities is going to be present right in here. So I can choose whatever the entity I want, and then I can simply go ahead and import the respective CSV which I would like to import, and it is going to populate the particular fields of that particular CI, and I can go ahead and have it added so that I'll know that the like it will be populated. You do not have to go to each and every module and add that. Instead, you can do it right from here. And as also as I said, you can have a relationship built between two assets. So if I click on next, it is going to ask for the CA1 and the CA2. So basically, it is the one CA and the other parent CA and the other CA which is hosted on, and the relationship type. So all you should have is like you have to have it in a separate columns and map that columns right here. It is going to input. So it is like any other CSV input or the XLS input which we have in the other places in our application. So that is about the business views and the CMDB and building relationships. So I would like to know if you have any question on that. If it is going to be a virtual machine or something that is going to be hosted, and if it knows the relation already, like the installation and host and hosting, it will be done during the scanning itself. But if there are any relationships like service running on that particular machine, because you might have a Apache server, so the application would not know that that particular server holds the Apache services running on it. So in that scenario, you might want to configure a CI named Apache, and then you have to build the relationship. So if it knows the relationship, it is going to take it as it is. So as you have seen, I have scanned the machine, and you are able to see the VMs that are configured in my particular machine, and also the one of the software that has been installed. Sure. So this is my machine. You can see that it is here. So you can see that the virtual machine is hosted. You see that the virtual machine is listed over here, and it has the it can find the OS. So it says runs, that is also hosted, and one of the software which is present in my application is changed to manage state, and that is nothing but the 7-zip. All right, so that is being listed over here. Is that clear? No? Yeah, that is about the CMDB module, which is present in our application. So it is all about building relationships, and you can view the business views that will be really helpful in the real time.